Thanks for joining a couple of 90s kids. You're listening to Stuck in My Generation. Welcome back to another episode of Stuck in My Generation, or whatever the hell you want to call it. We do it every once in a while, and it's been a while yet again, but that's okay, because we just do what we want. And today, we're going to talk about as soon as I get this microphone fixed anyways, I'd like to see you, Neil. I haven't seen you in a while, so I'd like to view your beautiful face. But we are going to finish up our top 10, and for me, a lot of honorable mentions. Albums of the year. Neil, I expect nothing less than a bunch of bands that I don't listen to from you.
Maybe not.
I like
a surprise
the metal
for you.
I like, I'm definitely
Maybe.
into the metal these days, but I think I'm more of the hardcore and thrashy. That's where it seems like that's where most of my shit lies, and you definitely go more into the death area.
Even for me,
You like it all.
Well, yeah, no, but like even for me, like even though like as far as Spotify goes, my minutes listened is the highest it's ever been at 30,000. But I honestly felt like I didn't tread a lot of new ground as far as new releases go. Like I found a lot of old stuff I liked and went back and listened to the discographies. But as far as a lot of new stuff, I mean, I haven't done as much as I should have done.
Yeah, you're like me. You still hop on everything new.
Yeah, I
you may
tried
not
to.
stick with it.
I didn't make as great efforts as I listened to a lot of music, but I didn't do deep dives into everything coming out weekly as like say as much as I did last year.
Yeah.
So there may be some diamonds in the rough that come a few months from now that I might love.
Yeah, we can always do a recap episode.
Yeah,
we can always, if we find them, we could be like, shit we didn't notice in 2022, an episode like that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of just running through the same albums this year.
Yeah. Well, me too. I looked at my, I don't do Spotify, but I do, I have Apple Music that I don't use very much, and that's because my brother-in-law put me on his family plan, which is appreciated because I when the kids want to listen to their shit, like, I want to hear It's Raining Tacos. Like, okay, I'm putting that on Apple. That way it doesn't mess up my shit on my YouTube Music. But I feel like this year I went mostly new. I listened to a lot of new stuff. Like, I kind of did the opposite of you. I didn't really dwell in the past too much, and I listened to a lot of new. But what that new is going to create is now I'm going to be stuck on that new in 2023. So I'll be doing what you did this year, but next year.
Yep. Like I know there's like maybe 4 releases that came out at the last quarter of this year that I haven't tried out, and I feel bad that I didn't try them out because
were they? Was it stuff that you think might have made this list, or do you think it was
maybe one? But like. Even like I said on the way down when I was listening to a certain album, which would be in the honorable mentions, I feel like it could probably crack the top 10 if I would. I like to give an album at least 4 or 5 listens before I say it's worthy type of thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, but next year I'll focus more on the new stuff because I feel like I've caught up.
Yeah.
I think you never catch up, but I feel like I've caught up.
I feel good. I feel good about my list. I mean, I feel like I was very thorough. I don't think I missed a whole lot. I don't know about you, but I went through all my subscriptions. All the people that I subscribe to or follow, I guess. Spotify's follow, right?
Yes, you follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
YouTube is subscribe. So I went through all those, and I made sure that no one I subscribed to released anything new. And I pretty much subscribed to everyone that I have any inkling of ever listening to again, like I subscribe to them. So I don't think I missed too much. That being said, I have a shit ton of honorable mentions.
Okay.
Not a shit ton, but I have a lot. Did you put any down? Do you have?
I have a few in mind.
Okay. Well, let's start there. I will say that most of my honorable mentions, which there's not that many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6, 5 or 6. I have 5 or 6 that were like, I feel like they were worth being in the top 10, but I didn't put them in the top 10. Just because they kind of got edged out.
Right.
So who do you have that maybe got edged out and was like on the outside looking in?
The one that I was mentioning on the drive here was the band Dream Unending. The album Song of Salvation. It's like an album I believe it's made a lot of top 10 metal lists. And the album they released last year in December made my second favorite album of that year.
Yeah.
So this one here probably could have cracked, but like I said, I'm gonna listen to it 3 times and haven't given due diligence to it, so it'd be unfair. But if you're a fan of like dreamy doom metal, I would definitely recommend it.
You have to. I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and add
it's a lot. It's a lot of reverb. It's a lot of. It's like they live up to their name as far as Dream Unending.
Who is it?
Dream Unending.
Oh, you just said that. I'm like, who is it?
Yeah, who is it?
Dream Unending. Because I like at this point, I am just willing to try anything.
It's very. Of course, it's growls, but it's a good landscape. It's good background music.
There's some growls that I'm all about. Like. I keep finding, and there's some that I'm just not. It just really depends, and I guess we'll find out more as we go through our list. But I will. I'll go with one of my honorable mentions here, even though somehow did I really put that there? Yeah, I sure did. So my first honorable mention is the Pretty Reckless. They released a album called Other Worlds. It's a rehash thing. It's like acoustic versions of stuff off their last album. I didn't imagine I'd ever become a fan of this band because I just didn't think I would. I thought they were mainstream commercial rock, and they are, but I think they're talented. I think they're catchy. Like as far as like catchy rock goes, I kind of like them, and that album was an outside looking in for me because there's just some really beautiful songs in acoustic form on there, and that band impresses me more than I'd ever like to admit. But that's an honorable mention. Do you have another?
Well, I guess I can say the Napalm Death, the album that was in my top 10 from the middle of the year.
Yep.
I had to. The album's Resentment is always seismic. That album is like still great, but half of the album to me is, I would say, somewhat skippable. So I felt like it could fall out of the top 10, maybe into the top 15. But they have some really strong songs on there, but it's fell out of favor with me.
I had that happen. Some of the albums that fell outside of mine are due to that exact reason. Like half the album might be really good and half of it might be kind of forgettable. And it was good enough to make the top 10 whenever we did this, 5 months ago. Was it 5 months ago? Let's just say it was 5 months ago.
It's close enough. It was like September.
Pretty close, yeah. End of August, something like that. Yeah, it was close. But I'll just rip off 2 since I think I probably have a few more than you. But the Black Keys Dropout Boogie, solid album. Not good enough for top 10, but it is solid. Not one of their best, but it's solid. Terror, Pain into Power. That was in my top 10 when we did the mid-year. They fell out. Very, very hardcore, Pantera-ish. Just a really good band. Loved the freaking album. It was only like 25 minutes long, but and I really jammed that hard when it came out. But at the end of the day, with some of the releases that came in the past like 3 months, that fell out, and I was kind of surprised. So, yeah, Terror. Sorry, you're out. Still good enough to put a mention in there though. That band is killer.
Yeah, but the one other one I had maybe 2 more I can mention was the recent Behemoth album. I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce the name of it. It's a good album, but once again, it's a hit or miss. It's not groundbreaking. A lot of the same old from the last album that I wasn't too impressed by.
Yeah, I listened to that too. I listened to that and I kind of felt the same way about it. Like I don't dislike that band, but that album definitely didn't grab me. The one you is it? I can't remember what it's called. Something Satan.
Satanic. The Satanist. Yeah.
The Satanist.
Yeah. That's allegedly their best album. It's not my favorite of theirs, but
it is good. Yeah. I did listen to it, and I was like, because you mentioned it whenever their new album came out. You said start there, and like an asshole, I started out with the new one and then went back to that one. But I still got the gist because the Satanist was much better than the new one.
Right. Like the new one, like the best song on it was like Once Upon a Pale Horse, and it's kind of generic sounding. Really, it's like easily accessible to anybody that's not deep in the metal. But outside of that, like I had maybe like 2 more Fallout. Voivod, the recent Voivod album fell out of favor with me. I do enjoy the album. I still like it, but it just wasn't top 10 worthy for me anymore. And Septic Flesh album fell out of favor with me.
Oh wow, you were pretty high on that.
Yeah, it just upon repeated listens, it just got dull to me. And I may be missing one more, but as far as that goes, it for my honorable mentions.
The
White Good Dude album. That was really good too, but it got repetitive after like 10 listens. Maybe it's my own fault for running it to the ground.
To be fair, like a big time album shouldn't get stale after 10 spins.
Right.
I mean, it should take months of like heavy rotation, in my opinion. Months.
I think it's probably better in short doses. Like I still go back to it. I don't hate it, obviously, but
right.
But yeah, that's it for my honorable mentions.
As far as like albums falling out, I think Terror might have been the only one that deserves an honorable mention. The Gallagher, is it Noel or Liam? One of those fuckers.
Yeah, one of the Gallaghers.
I had one of those. I had them in my top 10 mid-year. They fell out. He fell out. Someone fell out. There were some others. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but other outside looking in, a band called Get the Shot, Merciless Destruction. This is a great alternative to Slipknot. They're heavier and better than Slipknot, in my opinion.
Which isn't. It's not hard to do nowadays.
No, it's not. but for the people out there like that are big Slipknot fans, like I think they got hooked and reeled in by the early stuff, and just think that they're still one of the heaviest things out there. And
right.
they're just not. You know, they're not even. Sorry, they're not even that good. Mm-hmm. But Get the Shot to me much better. I only mentioned Slipknot because I think it's up the alley of Slipknot fans. If they listen to that, I think he'd be like, "Holy shit, this is way heavier." Spirit Adrift, 20 Centuries Gone. Half the album's really good, and half of it's completely different. So
that's a band I like in small doses as well.
I love the band when they sound like the first half of this new album, which is sort of Mastodon with cleaner vocals. I don't know, but half the album is just weird. Like the end of this album has like a fucking funky song. I don't even know how to explain it. But it's like like a bunch of hillbillies wrote it or something, but turned it into rock. Megadeth's The Sick, The Dying, and the Dead is on the outside looking in. It's a pretty solid album, but it's not.
It's in my top 20.
Yeah. It's top 20. It's not top 10. That's one that after 10 spins goes stale to me, but it's still good.
It's still
like,
good.
Especially for old ass fucking Dave Mustaine. It's still good. You know, it just isn't. There's a lot of shit to compare it to this year. There's a lot of good stuff. More than I had hoped for out of 2022. So that being said, let's go with Neil's number 10 on the top 10 countdown of Stuck in My Generation with Neil and Bark.
Mine fell a little bit, but it's the band White Ward.
White Ward. See, here we go. I don't fucking know.
They were on my mid-year list at least, and they're a black metal outfit from the Ukraine.
I was going to write them down, but you said black metal, so I quit.
But they have a lot of jazz influences in their music, and they're very diverse. They have, like my favorite song off the album is Phoenix, which is roughly about 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
But there's never a dull moment in the album. And I bought this album on vinyl. Of course, I had to order it. But it is very worthy of a top 10, if not meant to be higher. But I absolutely enjoy this album.
Anything else to say about that one? Like, is it how does the bottom of your top 10 list compare to like how much will you spend that album in the years to come? Is it just a this year thing or is it a long-term thing? Let's say that at the end of our albums too. Like, is it 2022 or is it like, long-term, I'm going to hit this thing fairly often for the rest of my life? Assumingly.
I will definitely come back to this album quite a bit.
Okay. 10 for me, The Warning, Error.
Yeah.
Have you listened to them much?
I've heard Warning, yes.
I wasn't really privy to this band at all, and then I heard Evolve, and that's one of the best rock songs I've heard in a long, long time. And this is three sisters from, I believe, Mexico, and they are very proficient with their instruments, and they are pretty damn impressive in my opinion. Like one of the best bands that I was not aware of that I've heard this year. Like I said, Evolve, probably the track, even though it's a single, and I hate to always give singles massive props, but it is a single for a reason. That song kills it. Other than that, most of the album's pretty good. It has its weak spots, which is why it's at 10. It's one of those half kick-ass, half forgettable albums. And these girls are young, so I'm hoping by the time they're pushing 30, they've figured it out and they release an album that's just great top to bottom. But again, Error, that song is one of the best rock songs I've heard in probably a decade.
Yeah, I do. Man, I enjoy them myself, but they obviously I didn't give the whole album a listen, but I've heard them and I have enjoyed what I've listened to.
It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
I mean, but overall, there's no songs on it that I skip. It's just I don't remember half of them, and that means it's down there at 10.
Right. With my next one is the band Frail from Cleveland, Ohio. They are a doom sludge / fuzz outfit, female fronted, which doesn't matter, but I guess I should at least mention it. I've been a fan of theirs for a couple years now, and this album here is not as nearly as good as their last album, which I should say the album's called Skin and Sorrow, by the way. There's not a dull track on this album for me. It's kind of short, so it goes by pretty quickly. It's over before you even know it. I think it's like maybe 30 minutes.
Some of the best albums.
Yeah, it's actually 45, but it seems like it goes very quickly. But I've been a fan of theirs ever since I caught wind of them, and I'm very happy. And I'm pretty sure, I know that they're getting heavily sponsored and heavily introduced in a lot of metal magazines now, so they're actually becoming somewhat big as in terms of metal.
Yeah. Like selling out more than just the A&R bar in Columbus kind of thing.
They might move up one more spot. I mean,
but they might go next door to Kimba Live.
Yeah, they're getting some recognition.
Yeah.
But I've been really impressed with them, and I'm looking forward to the future with them.
I have listened to Frail too, and I think that was from your suggestion, and that's a not my top 10, but like I did like what I heard, and I'll probably continue. I think I'm subscribed to them, so which that means I will listen to them again. 9 for me. Took me a minute on this album. Took multiple spins before it really clicked. You ever have a fucking album comes out and you literally have to put on headphones to realize how good it is?
Oh yeah, it depends on
Like sometimes I just can't pay attention to, like, I listen to albums at the wrong point in time sometimes, like Turnstile. Whenever Lawrence introduced me to Turnstile, I wasn't really paying attention when I was listening to them, so I assumed that it wasn't grabbing me, and I was like, yeah, they're okay. And then once I had the time to just sit back and just stop thinking about everything going on in life and listen to Turnstile, I fucking love that band more than I've loved a band. They're like second coming of Nirvana for me. I love them that much. But Dead Cross released Dead Cross 2, their second album. Mike Patton, Dave Lombardo, kind of a thrash metal outfit. But Dead Cross released their second album. I love everything Mike Patton does. But this did take me a few listens to really soak in. But there's a lot of genre blends on this album. But the more I listen to it, the more it sticks. And it's there at 9. There's a few weak songs, but there's some really, really good guitar riffs that stick with me. Like that I'll walk around and chug to myself with my lips.
They're a band I enjoy, but I like them in basically through singles.
Yeah,
because they're so much genre blending.
There's a ton of genre blending. It's very strange. Which that's Mike Patton. He's very, one of his bands I think is a Mexican orchestra outfit or some crazy stuff like that. But it's definitely solid. It's growing on me too. It grew on me just enough to sneak into the top 10 on this one.
And number 8 for me is the new Stab Me Westward album, Chasing Ghost.
Damn.
Did you think it'd be higher, or it's not on here at all?
I just didn't think it would be on there. I know that you like them.
I love them. Like their album Dark Days is my favorite album of all time.
Yeah,
it's not even close. It's not even close. But this album here, I love them from start to finish.
It was a good comeback. Like I think I did a YouTube review video, and while I didn't love it, I think it was above average for me because I think it was a very good return to form. Like they didn't really miss a beat. In my opinion, I don't love them, but they still sounded as good as when I owned. What's their 2 big albums called? They had 2 big
Western Burn Appeal and Dark Days.
That's okay.
Dark Days.
Okay. Oh yeah, Dark Days was the green and gray and black blend album.
The best album of all time. Yeah.
I liked both of those albums. I owned both of those albums. I kind of attribute it more to a point in my life, like a young, where I was at musically as a young fan. But yeah, that new album was definitely it was to me up there with their other stuff. So I get that.
But even through I'm not really sure like if Chris's lyrics wise is like where he's still at in his life, but his like the lyrics in pretty much all the songs, it feels like it's actually my life too. Like through his relationships and everything like that. It always means a lot to me. I don't know where he's come from, but it's like
I read an article and he's definitely got some. There's some deep stuff to those lyrics for sure.
But I love Simon Westford, and I was going to go see them in Virginia Beach, but unfortunately he had like a throat cancer or something like that. But he's recovered from that fully, and so
good
looking forward to seeing him.
That's interesting. See, that's why I love this top 10 stuff, because I love those surprises, and it's not a surprise to me in the fact that it's Stabbing Westward. I know that you love that band, but I didn't know how that new album
came out in March.
Hit with
that's
you.
The thing is like it wasn't even on the list in March. It just I went back to it, and just fell in love with it.
That's what happens. I think I've got one of those in here that came out before that, maybe 2. But 8 for me is a lot of people probably haven't heard of this one, but it's Broken Bells, Into the Blue. This is the lead singer from the Shins, which I don't really know shit about the Shins, honestly.
I did not either.
But it's the lead singer from the Shins with Danger Mouse, and I have really come to realize over the past few weeks that I am of the opinion that everything Danger Mouse touches is gold to me. So this album is no different. It's completely off the mark as far as the genre of my list, which is more heavy than not. But Broken Bells is very reserved, very calm, very modern sounding. Production values up there because Danger Mouse knows what the hell he's doing. But the band is just very interesting. It's calm, it's mellow, it's good mood music. Their first album is still my favorite, but this album that they released this year, Into the Blue, really good album. I've been on it like 2 or 3 days straight right now, just enjoying it. So Danger Mouse is my dude. Did you listen to Gnarls Barkley much when they were doing stuff?
Yes, I like the albums that they had.
I fucking love both albums that they made. Like and I don't even like CeeLo Green. Like anything else he's on, I don't care about.
Now, as far as like when it comes to the Gnarls Barkley stuff, I enjoyed it quite a bit, but outside of that, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Danger Mouse, that dude's good, man. He produced all my favorite Black Keys albums. He produced my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers album. He produced an album by a band I can't remember what it's called. Paquette something, or it's a punk band.
Mm-hmm.
But that dude's just freaking cool. And I'll end it at that. 7 on Neil.
The next one is a grindcore outfit named Warmrot. They were...
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, but they were in my top 4 most listened this year. The album is Hiss. It's pure grindcore, 30-second to minute song. There's a few outliers. Yeah, some of it seems to blend together, but it remains for a grindcore album. So you got to take it for it being a grindcore album.
Right.
It's very interesting, keeps you engaged. To me, is my favorite grind album of the year, which was actually pretty good contenders this year. But I've gone to this a lot more. It's weird, like my top 5 listened to bands this year. I didn't think it'd be up there. I thought a band I mentioned later would be up there, and it wasn't even on the list. So I guess I listened to way more Warmrot than I thought I did. But I was happy to find out about this band. I think this album might have came out even before it came out in July, so it was before our midway point list. And of course, I didn't catch the train until a couple months after. So
yeah, that's why 70% of my top 10 list is different this time around.
But if you guys love grindcore at all, please give us a spin.
Listen to some Wormrot.
Yes.
My number 7 is not going to be, probably not going to be in your top 20, I don't imagine, because you really hate the lead man in this band. But 7 for me is Machine Head of Kingdom and Crown.
Right.
Man, Slaughter the Martyr is one of the best fucking heavy songs I've heard. In again, like Air from The Warning, Slaughter the Martyr is just one of those songs, like, it just fucking gets me amped. And the whole album, front to back, I think is really, really good. Now, granted, wasn't even, I wasn't a Machine Head fan until 2022. Of course, you and Lawrence tell me The Blackening was their jam, and I listen, and that you guys nailed that. That album is fucking great. And I think of Kingdom and Crown is up there with it. Like, it's not as good, but it's up there with it. And that album, I listened to that album a lot the last 4 months.
They have their good moments, but yes, Rob Flynn is cringe. Some of his lyrics are cringe too. But other than that, musically they're fine.
Musically, they're
They're hit or miss for me personally. But I do like some of their music. I'm not going to hate on it, but I'm Rob Flynned out, I guess.
You're Rob Flynned out. It's definitely an interesting cat. Like I did the deep dive when this album came out, and I was like, okay, I got to hear everything. And most of it doesn't impress me a single bit.
Especially the new metal years.
Oh, it's bad. And he even looked about as new metal as it gets. Like in one video, he had the dreadlocks and like a red jumpsuit, and it was just bad. It was like, dude, make up your mind. But this album, I thought it was absolutely fucking killer, and I will listen to that a lot for years to come. Mm-hmm. Like I really dig it. It registers with me in a big way.
And then the next one on my list is the band Talla, The Generation of Danger. I know Jeremy. I know you listened to it briefly.
I did, and I knew that would be on your list because the way you talked about them when you told me to check it out.
You, of course, mentioned the Jonathan Davis similarity, but that's unfair to the lead singer because it could be
an observation.
Yes, it could be to his detriment, but he has upwards of probably 10 vocal styles in all these songs. Like the whole album is great is great to me, but it can get quite taxing because he's constantly changing vocal styles. He has a great growl. He has a Jonathan Davis-esque voice sometimes, but he's very, very, very diverse. He's a vocal teacher, so I guess he likes to show off his chops. But as far as right now, they're considered the leaders of the new metal movement going on right now.
And it's going on.
The resurgence. But I'm very, very happy with this album. But like I said, the only knock I would have is it can get a little too much when he's constantly changing vocal styles and he can't get into a pocket of enjoying a song.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of was with it. Like I was, that's Spirit Adrift. They, they'll hit you with a style and you're like, oh hell yeah, and then the next song will be completely different and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, but like the drumming on the album is insane here. But I guess it gets a little fat. It's like 57 minutes long. To me, like certain albums shouldn't be that long anymore.
Yeah, I'm getting there too. Like as much as I've been into prog rock all my life, and I love long jam session songs.
It has to be long for a reason. Not like
yes.
If it's like I can sit here and listen to 11-minute song and be fine, but like I don't want an album that has 15 songs on it. That's too much for me.
That is too much. 10 to 12 is the sweet spot. Even 9 is like, no big deal. But yeah, I'm not into that either. Actually, the more I thought about this last Tool album, here I fucking go again. It's long for the wrong reasons. Like
it goes nowhere.
There's a lot of moments where it goes nowhere. It's the same chugs and the same shit, and like. When I run into albums that are clocking in at close to an hour, I'm like, okay, how much time did they waste? And
how much fat can you trim?
Exactly. Like, and when you listen, it's like more so than not. Let's talk real quick, just because it's a fun topic. I assume you've heard Lux Eterna from Metallica.
I have not yet.
Really?
No.
No shit. Wow.
No.
Should we listen to that live on this?
I'm good.
Oh man,
I've not listened to it for a reason.
Okay.
I don't want to like it. Don't want to hate it. I don't want to have an opinion.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not like my excitement isn't anything. My reaction to you not hearing it is nothing because I think like, oh, you're going to love it or oh, you're going to hate it. Like it's highly debatable. Me personally, I think it's really good. But a reason that it's really good is because most of the fat is trimmed off. Metallica was getting bad about doing the 8-minute songs and 7-minute
we talked about it at length before. It's like their songs are always 6 and 7 minute songs for a thrash band. It's like it doesn't need to be like that.
Correct. And I think maybe they probably didn't get the message because I think I read that the new album coming out is like 75 fucking minutes long.
It's absurd. It's like it's like same problem with Soundgarden. Like the songs like just keep repeating. I was like, stop, man. It gets to be at 4 minutes. It only need to be 6-7 minutes long.
Yeah, unless your name is Fish, and then you can play however long you want. Yeah. No one will listen, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so Talla was what, your 6?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, 6. Here's the first one that stuck around, so I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. And it's a weird one for, lifelong metalheads. Probably hate this entry, but Dream Widow, Dave Grohl's little heavy metal side project. It stays in the top 10 at 6. I still think it's an absolutely killer album, and there's not much fat on it. It's to the point, and it's heavier than the Foo Fighters, but it's still Dave Grohl, who's like my fucking Paul McCartney. So yeah, Dream Widow stays in the top 10 and high in the top 10 at 6.
With my number 5, which arguably should be higher for me, is Immutable from Meshuggah. They're
Knew that would be.
Yeah, they're in my top 3 favorite bands of all time. And this album here, like initially, I wasn't. It was in my halfway top 10, but but as far as Meshuggah releases go, it wasn't my favorite one of theirs. But it's still very deserving for being top 5 for me. I love it. Even after seeing them a few months ago, it made me love the album even more because that songs performed live just made me fall in love with this album.
Oh yeah,
they opened up when the lights came on. They started playing Broken Cog, which is the very first song on this album here. It just hit so hard, and they actually played like 5 songs off this album on the tour, which is pretty.
That's what bands should do when they're touring in support of a new album.
Their YouTube hit "Bleed," which I don't know if you know that one or not, but it's like the one that everybody's always memeing to. It's the one they always see all the reactions for, which is like their number 1 hit. They didn't even play it. They didn't even cut it from it because they said it got too boring, which is awesome. They made room for these new songs.
You don't want to hear the same old shit.
But this album, like they're still very refined. I always become impressed with them. I say their albums run long, but I always get lost when I listen to these. The drumming never gets old to me. The vocals are always perfect to me. I love them to death.
I like them. Like you played a hand in that too. Like that is one of the bands that you have suggested that is typically heavier than what I listen to, in terms of like, I guess growly, muddy, like not.
And he can still hear him though. But to me, he's got the perfect metal voice for me. Like, because I don't know. To me, his voice is perfect for metal.
I definitely like him. I probably need to listen to that more. I'll probably make that a priority this week too, because I need to give some of my albums that are on the top 5 here. Actually, only 2 of the top 5. I need to give a break, so maybe Meshuggah will be the break I give them. So that was your 5 then. Meshuggah, Immutable. Number 5. Listen, metal folks and hardcore folks. There's a couple albums in this top 5 that you probably don't know about that you need to if you value anything I say, which means you probably won't listen to them. But 5 for me, Nicolas Cage Fighter, The Bones That Grew from Pain. I'm going to say it again for the second time in the top 10. This is what Slipknot fans should be listening to. It's heavier. It's better. The song structures are way fucking better.
Same way with Tala. They're doing what Slipknot does, but better.
Yes.
They rap better. They do everything better than Slipknot now.
Yeah. And I hate to keep tearing down on Slipknot, but I just, and I do actually have a level of, like, Iowa's a great album.
The first one. Yeah, the first 2 are great.
The first one's good. They have songs here and there that I think are listenable, but there's just something, I don't know. There's just something about them that, to me, the edge is kind of gone. And bands like Nicolas Cage Fighter with their weird fucking name, there's so much edge to this music and so much energy and so much power. Like it's fucking great. It's good shit. If you haven't heard of them and haven't listened to it, go check them out. That one snuck in pretty hard over the last 3 or 4 months because it has been in the rotation.
I even listened to that album about 5 or 6 times.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what they're going. What can they do from there? Are they going to ruin it like a lot of bands do after their first album that's pretty good, or are they going to evolve and get better and better and better? I'm hoping for that, but we'll see.
Well, hopefully it's more. I'd be happy if more of the same, but maybe tweaked or some production values. Maybe.
Yeah, I think more bands need to give you like a few albums that are more of the same, 2, maybe 3 at the most, and then do their growth spurt or their transition into something that they're curious about. Give us, like Slipknot should have gave us more Iowa.
Yep.
And maybe I would be a little more praising of them, but they went in a different direction. A lot of folks like it, and that's cool. But when I hear something, I want some more before they switch it up.
With my number 4, I have Imperial Triumphant, the album Spirit of Ecstasy.
Shocker.
Yeah, that was my number 2 at the halfway point.
I'm kind of shocked that it fell a couple spots, honestly.
I still love it. It just got surpassed by 2 other albums. Well, 2 stuck above it. I still praise it. Anybody that I will not recommend this to any new metal listener because it's a lot to take in. But it's like that's the best black and death metal album that's came out this year. It's a Simon Close, and I will continually recommend this to any seasoned vets of metal.
Not me.
Right.
I'm not a seasoned vet. I don't know if I've gave that much time yet or not. I think, like, you warned me that it is different. Kenny G different. You gave me the heads up, and I think I listened to it. I was like, okay, this is a lot to take in. I'm going to wait. Right. I'm going to hold off.
It's very avant-garde black metal, black and death metal.
Yeah.
But like I said, I love them. They're my favorite. Well, I say they're probably my favorite black metal band. Yeah.
I know you've been high on them pretty much the whole year, so... 4 for me, not much to talk about here. Jack White, Fear of the Dawn.
Yep, still on there.
It's still on there. It was I just thought it was a great album. Thought it was a classic, great Jack White album, regardless of the association or whatever band he's in. I'm not going to repeat the same shit that I said on an episode prior to this. I'll just say it's one hell of an album to still be in the top 5 after all this. And I was disappointed in the second album he released. It was good in a different way. It was too mellow for where I'm at in my life currently. Whereas Fear of the Dawn, kind of, to say what they said back in the 50s, he rocked my socks off earlier this year. Yeah. Rocked my socks.
I think I was actually listening to White Stripes a couple weeks ago. I was jamming it again.
They're good. I mean, that's a historical band.
I just wanted something to take my mind off things, I guess. I don't know. It's fine.
That'll work. That'll do it. I mean, Get Behind Me, Satan is one of those underrated. There's just some underrated shit that they did that's really good, but I digress. Top 3 time.
My top 3 is from my favorite band of all time, Cyclone 9. The album is Less to Heaven.
Who the fuck? What?
They're an industrial metal act from Neurobellum.
Okay.
But they've been my favorite band since, like, probably 2008. And this one here did not disappoint. Nero is not the best humanitarian in the world because he like scumbags people on vinyls and all that. When he buys stuff, he doesn't fulfill the end of the deal, I guess.
That's great.
But the music's always great if you like industrial black metal. The X is on the Rise is my favorite song on the album. I've ran a Stained to Death since it came out, and it came out in August. So when we did our episode for this, I didn't get a lot of listens, so I don't want to put it on the list so far.
Right.
But it's cracked my top 3, and I'm very, very happy, and I'm still waiting on my vinyl.
All right, now I got to know. See, I've got a waiting on my vinyl one on here too. What's that band called?
Cyclone 9.
Cyclone 9. Oh, it's Pia. Okay. Up. All right, they're added because I wanted to add them because when you mentioned the word industrial, like I had an awakening. I had an experience recently. The most recent concert I attended was the Vets Aid in Columbus.
That'd be the one to check out.
Okay, Henry. So I went to Vets Aid in Columbus, which was Joe Walsh, the James Gang, the Black Keys, Dave Grohl was there, the Breeders, and so I went to this concert, excited as hell. I knew I'd be pumped about Dave Grohl. Joe Walsh is very good, so I was excited to see Joe Walsh. I was excited to see the Breeders a little bit just for nostalgic purposes. The Black Keys are one of my favorite bands, honestly. I was pretty fucking pumped to see them. And by the time the Black Keys played and made it through their set, I was like, they just stole the fucking show. Like, the Black Keys just absolutely killed it. And then one of my all-time favorite bands of all time comes on stage, Nine Inch Nails.
Yep.
I have never seen them before. Yep. Heather, my wife, has seen them twice, so this was her 3rd time seeing Nine Inch Nails. And I'll be damned if Nine Inch Nails recently, just a few short weeks ago, did not take over the top spot all time of best bands I've ever seen live. And I've seen not as many as Neil, but I have seen dozens upon dozens of live shows, and holy shit. Now, I'm going to call them industrial. I don't know what everyone's take is there. To me,
it's industrial. I mean, there's enough industrial elements to call them industrial, especially for first few releases.
Well, that element of that band I had never seen before live from any other band. And I've never seen anything with the level of energy and just pure. It was so different. Yeah. Like, and I know every song of Nine Inch Nails. I know everything. They're one of my favorite bands ever.
They're on my bucket list to see.
Blown away.
And
fucking blown away.
Their album, their live album they released after the Fragile was all I forget what it's called. That's my favorite live album of all time. It's not even close.
I need to go back and listen to that because it's been forever.
It's insane. Like it's the best live album of all time.
They were insane that night, and you know these guys are not. They've been doing this a long time. Like Trent Reznor's not young,
no,
and it was like
high energy still,
high fucking energy, and just to. They also provided the moment, the best moment concert wise I've ever seen. So Black Keys are done. They're off the stage. The guys are coming out and they're like putting Nine Inch Nails gear together. The lights are on. Everyone is talking. And this fucking band made my year because the lights are on. Nobody's paying attention. Everyone's talking. Meanwhile, Trent Reznor and the band sneaks on stage with the lights on. They didn't do the whole lights off, everybody starts cheering. Everybody's fucking talking. And then you get Wish from Broken.
That's so fucking good. Yeah, they played that. Like that's how that live album. It hits so hard, man.
It hits so hard, and
yeah,
I just got chills.
Yeah, Wish or Gave Up or Sin. It's all. I mean, for anybody who hasn't listened to, I know we're going to big tangent, but anybody who has listened to like any of the Nine Inch Nails stuff from the first few albums, like Broken's my favorite album.
Broken is the shit. It's the standard.
Like Wish
me.
and all that. It's like if you have listened to those albums recently, you're doing yourself a disservice. So you really need to go back and listen to them.
Yeah.
Like Fire at Mr. Self-Destruct and all that, man. I'm telling you, it just hits so hard.
It hits so fucking hard.
And of course, I have to recommend the live album, or so even watch stuff on YouTube or anything like that, because they are much heavier live.
They are, yeah.
Because the live drums.
Oh god,
that's what gets it.
Oh man, it was so good. It was the best drumming I think I've ever seen, and I don't even know who was their drummer that night. I don't even know.
It used to be Chris Verena back in the day.
He was a beast. Whoever it was, he was an absolute animal, and they just they fucking kicked my ass. And my mother-in-law was there. Like this whole concert is like tailored to people who are middle-aged and older.
The Walsh fans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was sitting beside a couple Walsh fans, and they were confused as fuck when Nine Inch Nails came out. They were so lost. They were sitting down by song 2, and I was like, yeah, that's what I expected. Like, they can't handle it. And my mother-in-law is just like, she looked like she had, like, either made it into heaven or opened her eyes and was in hell.
My.
She was so confused. And I took video of her the whole time, just like, looking scared to death. She looked at my wife and she said, I've never seen anything like this before. And I'm just like, I haven't either, but I'm loving every second of it. Absolutely amazing. Anyways, I digress. I
was on Cyclone 9 for number 3, so you are on number 3.
Yeah, and I'm that concert, the basis of why I started that has thrown me into an industrial rabbit hole.
Industrial's my favorite genre, so
I love it. I just need to find the ones that hit with me, the ones that stick. Like, would you consider Code Orange? Is that kind of
the recent album has industrial elements in it?
And I've listened to that, and like, I don't dislike it, but I also don't love it. It's so hard to like. Just because you like a genre doesn't mean you're going to like everything. And I'm on that journey to find more industrial that resonates with me. So number 3 for me, this I'm really surprised this is still in the top 5, but I listened to it today just to make sure that it should stay in the top 5. And it's Yellow Wolf and Shooter Jennings. Sometimes
Why. Made it up there. It's a pretty solid album.
It's a solid fucking album. Yep. It's just it's impressive to me. It's surprising, impressive. And it's one of those where there's not a song on it that I don't like.
I like that. You're like, let's make sure it still stays up there. And
I had to.
I did that with a few of my albums.
Yeah. And I there were some that I knew instantly, like, okay, you're gone because this came out and this is good. And I know that it's better than this. But that album, I was like, I got to give it a spin today just to see if it still remains. So
it's like when I leave here, I'm literally going to start them Sugar album up because I'm jacked up on coffee. I'm ready to go. So,
yeah. Hell yeah. You got work tomorrow?
No.
Oh, you're good to go.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
But yeah. Okay. We're down to the top 2, and I'm very curious. I know
you should know my number 1 easily.
I think I do, and I think I wish I could just say it.
You don't know number. You don't know number 2.
I'll just do this.
No.
No.
That's 1.
That's what I meant. That's what I was saying easily. Was number 1. Okay.
But this one snuck in, and it just came out in October, actually. I thought it was this month. Last month. But it's the band Rabbit Junk Apocalypse for Beginners.
Rabbit Junk.
Yes, they are in an industrial metal outfit with some synthwave added in on this album.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
For fans of, I would recommend this for fans, of course, of industrial, but for fans of like a band, Hansel and Gretel. Do you remember them?
Yeah,
they're still around, but they were an industrial act. I've seen them a few times, but they have a lot of elements from them. And this album, I have no clue how I did not stick in my top 4 or 5 played. I've ran this thing to the ground. I had no clue how I did not make it in.
Yeah,
maybe because it's when it came out or something. But I love the whole album. It literally almost took over the number 1 spot. It has feature
that would be big because even I know what the number 1 is.
Yeah, even the feature, like they had Amelia Arsenic, which of course is in an industrial world people will know who it is, but she's pretty big in the band Angel Spit, which is one of my favorite industrial bands.
Yeah.
And she's went off and done her own solo work. But that song she's in, the second track, Stone Cold, that's a fantastic track. It's probably going to be in my top played songs even next year on the list.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely love this album. For any fan, it's a very enjoyable industrial album. It's fun. It's not depressing or anything like that. It's fun.
Oh, well, I will definitely be checking that out then. Have you posted that in our? I know our metal group is just kind of on and off again.
It's more industrial than metal.
Rabbit Junk. Okay. Well, I'm excited.
The album is called Apocalypse for Beginners.
I'm going to spin that tomorrow. Number 2, also a surprise to me, not a surprise at all in the grand scheme of things. But number 2, it got knocked from number 1. Yeah. It's Ghosts Impera.
Yeah, I figured it'd be number 2 or 1. So
it's still good to me.
See, it fell out of mine. I still enjoy the album. I don't hate it. I still enjoy it, but it's not top 10 for me.
I still really, really like it more than I thought I would. I even like the song 20s now. Even I hated it when I first heard it because I thought it was so stupid. But it's become like Limp Bizkit, and it's grown on me in a way that where I accept the goofiness of it. But that album's still like production value. Probably album of the year, production value wise. It's stellar and flawless and sparkly. And it's just fucking good. And it's still like that's still one of those bands. Like that's not one of my favorite bands. Even they're really not. Even though we saw them in 2019 and it was a badass concert, they're still not one of my favorite bands. But I just have this weird. I have this weird appreciation for them. The fact that they can even get me to come back. Because when I first listened to him, I was like, this vocalist does nothing for me.
It's like the gateway with anybody. Like they're not metal. It's like
it's the way they dress. Everybody wants to think they're metal.
Because when they were
never metal.
We all made the mistake of like they look like they should be brutal.
Yeah,
and they're not. They're
it's arena rock,
a rockish metal band.
Yeah.
If you. This is the YouTuber Metal Trenches, which I mentioned on the podcast here before.
Yeah, I've watched him a lot since.
But he even made a great point because he had this album in his top 10. Is that people make fun of them for not being metal, but they say Alice Cooper's metal. They say King Diamond is metal,
and Kiss
is metal.
None of those are.
Why are those metal and they're not Ghost?
Yeah.
So that's like the best way for me to explain that to somebody.
Yeah.
They're metal. They're just as metal as any Motley Crue or anything like that. They're just as metal as anybody.
Absolutely.
Just different. It's just more accessible, I guess.
Yeah, and they just they've got the theme going on. Yeah. Like a lot of bands are a product of music and shtick.
Yep.
And their shtick is something that people love. People love the dark side.
Yeah. Right now the shtick is they have the best production in music.
Yeah,
it's fantastic, man.
It really is. And it's like I think I was watching JW Soundworks on YouTube as a guy. I don't think he's huge or anything, but he does like a combination of reactions and then other music analysis stuff. And he listened to Little Miss Sunshine or whatever the fuck that song is called. Call me Little Sunshine.
Yeah.
And that song feels generic, sort of. But then you put on headphones.
Yes, you need headphones.
And you hear all the shimmery other shit going on in the background of it. And it's like, this is like Disney's Fantasia in music form. Mm-hmm. It is just, there's magic going on everywhere. And you wouldn't know it unless you really hone in. So there's something impressive about him. Stuck him in the top 2. Now bring what me and anyone who listened to the last episode know is number one in Neil's book for the year of 2022.
It's been in prison, Airbus. Yeah, shocker, huh? I've what they say, like on my playback, I listened to this album and said on my Spotify 87 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times.
That's a lot of times.
That's probably the most played album I've ever,
Yeah.
I've ever listened to. And I'm still listening to it to this day. I was lucky enough to get the vinyl recently too, which I would never thought I'd get cheap, but I found it in Columbus, which is nice. But yeah, the album is fantastic. Larissa is my crush as far as metal vocalists go. I love her, but she's already taken sadly.
It happens.
But the album from front to back is amazing. It opens up hard, it ends hard. There's no duds in it. It's great post doom. I recommend it to any metal fan.
Yeah, I've listened to it. I find value in it. Didn't make my top 10 or anything because me and you were just slightly different wavelengths. Yes. But those wavelengths are slowly crossing into each other because I'm much more accepting of a lot of the really heavy shit that I wasn't before. So who knows? That may be someone that creeps in. Like some days, I'm listening to the hardest shit that I listen to, and I'm like, I need harder. Yeah. I need darker. I need heavier. It just depends on the day. But yeah, I'm kind of glad they stuck because you were so high on that album. I kind of would have hated for it to fall out.
Yeah, it's like it's still up there. It's like my top songs played of the year. Of course, is the whole list of been in prison.
You want to hear my? I looked between my Apple and my YouTube Music.
Yeah.
I'll drop my most played. Thanks to my children, the most played song is Rick Astley.
Yeah.
That was kind of hurtful to see, but I knew why. It wasn't me.
It's like Megadeth was my second most played. But
mine too, but it's because we did the episode.
We did the episode.
Yep. They were on the top of both of my lists actually. Like they were my most played artist this whole year. But I got on such a kick, and they have 16 fucking albums.
Yeah, it's a lot of albums.
So that is why I looked at that and I knew instantly.
It's like Megadeth's gonna be on there.
Yeah, they're gonna be on there, and that's fine. Like I really like Megadeth, and I really enjoyed that whole journey.
Yeah,
it was a good fucking journey and a good episode. But my most played album of the year, I gotta go based off of two things. But like one music service, it was Turnstile's "Glow On," which was no surprise because that album hit me big time. And then, oh shit, can't remember the name of the album, but the band is Drain. It's another hardcore band.
I thought you were gonna say Drain STH. I'm like, yeah, that's
not Drain STH, no, or Local H or nothing like that.
I've listened to Local H this year.
Yeah, this year you have?
Yeah, I have.
Didn't they get heavier? Is that what? Are they one of those?
It got bad. They were playing locally in Columbus, and I thought about going to it. So I was like, I'll fire it up, see if I want to go, but I didn't take the day off. So
yeah. That'd be a show worth seeing just because it's probably $35 or less.
Right.
Do you know what my number one is?
No.
Ain't no clue or any inkling or.
Not really a fan.
Okay.
I'm not an educated guess. I guess I should know.
Nice. Well, it makes me feel good. Number one is let me see. I want to make sure. I'm pretty sure it's the most recent album that has been released out of all of these. I'm pretty sure it is. My new fucking creme de la creme band that I am more excited about their future than any band I've listened to. I don't more than Turnstile, surprisingly, and I love Turnstile, but Spirit World's Death Western is my number one album of the year. I cannot get over how perfect this band is for me. They started out as a cowboy punk outfit. They had a EP that was total cowboy punk, and then they switched gears.
Yeah, that showed up in my recommended earlier. I screenshotted it actually.
Man, so they were their first full length is called Pagan Rhythms.
Came out in November. Yeah.
And Pagan Rhythms is an album from 2020 but got re-released by Century Media in 2021.
Well, if Century Media has a hold of them, I mean...
Century Media has a hold of them.
So, I mean, they're promising then.
And they released Pagan Rhythms under Century Media after it was released independently, I believe. And that album fucking rips. And was just... I was stuck on that album for weeks. And then Death Western came out. And that is... it catapulted in 0 seconds. The first spin, when the first spin was over, my adrenaline was so high and I was so amped and pumped about this band. And it sucks at the same time because you can go on YouTube and you can look up a live performance of this band in Cincinnati from just a few months ago. And there are like 4 people at the stage.
Makes you mad as hell that you missed it.
Makes you mad as hell. See, I don't want to see him with 5 people.
I don't either, but like...
To be able to say that I did. Like, I saw him when there was 5 people, that's one thing. But, like, the energy... I don't know. You got to have that packed house. Like,
right.
Turnstile was a packed house at Kimba Live. Like, at one point, we were all singing Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody before they came out. And it was one of those moments where, like, you just felt the unity of the place. And then Turnstile came out, and you just felt the unity of the whole thing. And it was just amazing. I don't want to feel the unity of 4 people at the Spirit World concert. I do, to say I went, but I need this band to I need Century Media to get them a good opening spot for somebody huge and for them to grow. Like, I want to see this band grow at least to the level of, like, a fairly popular hardcore metal band. And every single fucking track on that Death Western album is a banger. It's one of those albums where, like, every month I'm going to have a different favorite song of the 10 tracks on there. Right. And it clocks in at like 30-some minutes. It's just no fluff, no frill. It's in your face.
No gristle.
No gristle. You just cannot even begin to say what your favorite track is off the album, because as soon as you pick one, it changes. And it's like every song smacks you in the face. You haven't listened to that yet?
No, like I said, I literally screenshotted it on my phone because I seen the cover interested me, so I screenshotted it. But I'll fire it up at some point tonight. Actually,
man, if you fire that up on your way home and turn it up, I message me when you get home and just let me know your thoughts, because I could easily see where some people would be like, I think all metal fans could say solid or pretty good. But I feel like certain ones are just going to eat up every track. And I think it's just heavy enough, just hard enough, and the vocals are just fucking angry enough that you might feel the same. You could possibly feel the same way about it. Very, very possibly. Or you could be like, that was a really solid album. I don't see you not liking it.
Right. I'm trying to think of albums where my favorite song shifted a lot. But the only one that even comes to mind is like Mechanical Animals from Manson. Because like there's so many times like it's my favorite song on the album.
I could go on a tangent on that.
It's the best album.
That's one that there's very few albums of all time that I think aged like that one. And I think we've talked about it before, but like when that album came out, I was like, what the fuck is this?
What changed? Why change?
What is this? Because Antichrist Superstar was a badass album at the time. Now, not so much. Like, I don't think it aged that great.
I still love it, but it's not his best one.
It's good.
Either way.
But like Mechanical Animals was like, I think it was ahead of its time by a decade and a half. Like I listen to that now and I was like, that is the most creative fucking album that I have heard. It's like top 10 all time, just mind blowing gear changes.
Yeah.
Because it's a total mind fuck. That whole album is like, wait a minute, I thought Marilyn Manson was this.
Right.
No. I mean, he did his best David Bowie impression on that album, and it worked.
But as far as like favorite songs on the album, that's about the only one I can really think of offhand. I mean, of course, it's more. I'm sure it's happened more than that, but it's like as far as like quick thinking, that's the only one I can think of.
I hate even giving it praise because
he's a scumbag, but a lot of people love our scumbags.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if true, that's the hard part. If true, he's worse.
That's a whole other tangent of people.
That's a whole other tangent. Like
there's a lot of people. People love a lot of people that are like really trashy.
The only reason I even say that I hate to give him any praise is because not real surprising if that shit's true. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's not really a shock. So who knows? I don't know. I know most recently he's complaining that his career's over. It's like, well, you had a fucking good career.
You had a good run.
Had a hell of a run. But yeah, Spirit World Death Western. if you fucking like hardcore and metal at all, spin that damn album, because it's. I know it sucks to go off reviews, but as far as reviews go, the only publication I've seen that didn't give it a 9 or a 10 is Kerrang, and I don't fucking care what Kerrang says.
A lot of those, like even like was it Loudwire and all that.
Oh, those don't. Yeah,
they're all basic, man.
Yeah,
like
they're basic. Those are basic bitches. Those are the basic bitches of that. I follow all that because I love music news, but like it's the little publications that actually listen to the everything are the ones that I read.
In closing here, we of course have to shout out to like the YouTube channels, like say Metal Trenches, the Metal, the Metal Meltdown, all those people like that. That's who you really need to be checking out, because they're doing the community a big service by a really big service. It's good reviews, unbiased. That's why you really need to look into, not this.
Yeah, not Kerrang, not Loudwire, not Revolver, none of that.
Yeah,
shit.
it's all. Hey,
and I appreciate the music news, but like I don't care about the reviews.
Right.
Like, I mean, fuck though. I mean, you look at Kerrang and Loudwire, and it's like they fucking make a post about how excited like Avril Lavigne is back, and we couldn't be more excited. Like, word? Are you fucking serious? You couldn't be more excited that Avril Lavigne is back?
It's like say a heavy hitter comes out. Let's say Disturbed comes off an album. It could be like complete ass, but it's automatically be in our top 10. Five Fingered automatically in top 10. Either way, we can bitch about that all night. But,
yeah, we won't.
But like
anyone that gives a shit about any of the bands we talked about probably know that to be true anyway. So,
but like, Ben, closing from the top 10 list goes, like, I'd be amiss to not mention the fact that I probably listen to more synthwave than anything. That's other than like obviously like Venom Prison or something.
Yeah,
I listen to synthwave like almost exclusively the whole year, but. It's not. I don't ever do it in whole albums.
Right.
I do. I listen to a lot of mixes. I listen to this pops here and there. But I mean, it's always my favorite background music. I listen to it all the time. But I can never say it's my favorite. It's always on.
I thought of you when I went to that Vets Aid concert, because there was a woman at that concert wearing a Gary Newman hoodie.
Oh, the thing is, because Gary Newman and Reznor toured a few years back.
Yeah.
And I've been a dream tour for me. I would have.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that.
I would have creamed, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
There's the YouTube videos of when Nine Shells was playing. They did Newman's song "Metal," which is my favorite song of his, and they of course performed that together on stage. And I would have loved to see that live.
Man, I would have too. That's one of the top recommendations from you that have stuck to like that. If it was a different year.
That was my favorite album of that year.
Gary Newman would be on my top 10, because I have listened to his past like 3 or 4 albums a lot over the last few years. That's excellent shit. Hopefully 2023 is good.
Let's hope.
Of all the metal I talked about, I've got to say I'm excited for Paramore's new album. I'm not ashamed to even say it.
I've never been a fan. Never have.
For some reason, I don't know. I was never a fan, and I've seen them live. I saw them live with No Doubt and someone else a long time ago with my ex-wife. Yeah. And I never have gave a fuck about them, but they released that single, and it sucked me in, and then it sucked me into all their albums. I was like, I'm a closet Paramore fan. I didn't know it. I didn't know that I like this band. It's like they're the Huey Lewis and the News of the past 2 decades to me. Like, I just feel good when I listen to their music.
Right, yeah.
So, Huey Lewis and the Moors. Huey Lewis and the Moors. Huey Para and the Moors. Hopefully it's good stuff. But we get Metallica in April. You'll be thrilled about that.
Geared up for that.
I'd
be geared up for that one. No, I'll listen to it.
The new song is pretty good. Yeah. It is pretty good. It's better than anything they've done in a long time, in my opinion. But there's also a major flaw in it. But I won't talk about that tonight. Yep. We're pretty much done. And then I haven't cared about anything Metallica's done in a long time. But when any band of any significance releases anything, I check it out just out of curiosity. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. But Venom Prison, Spirit World, go check them both out. Yep. Hopefully you enjoyed this top 10 from me and Neil. And we'll see you on the next one, which I think we had ideas of what we wanted to do next.
We have some ideas floating around, but we can revisit that.
Yeah, we'll lock them down, concrete them, and bring them to you whenever we feel like it, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Stuck in My Generation. Again, if you want to suggest bands for us to listen to, send it over to stuckinmygeneration@gmail.com.